So we're going to get into this story. I'm laughing now because I'm going to be crying shortly. This is the FBI Agents Association's Member Connect. Why is that relevant? Oh, because on Friday, Kash Patel, in a momentary good moment, although way too slow and way too delayed, removed a bunch of people that probably shouldn't have had their jobs when it happened. There were more than a dozen FBI agents that dropped for a knee in a non-threatening environment, putting themselves at tactical risk, putting everybody else at risk. And they were eventually able to experience the sort of fun removal from federal service that my friends and I got. Now, my buddies and I got it because we had principles that we were standing up for something that was supposed to happen. There was supposed to be at least a potential of evaluating accommodation requests for religion. Imagine if you were a Muslim person and you happened to work for the FBI and you had some sort of religious issue with the way that the FBI was asking you to do business. You think they wouldn't evaluate it and fall all over themselves? I can assure you they would. But if you're a Christian person who says, hey, I'm a pro-life guy and I just don't want some vaccine shots that are developed using fetal cell lines. And by the way, we think there's a possibility of this interrupting the reproductive system, and reproduction is a really big deal to us. We want to have all the kids. We want to be fruitful and multiply. Wouldn't you expect that the Agents Association that represents you would step up and go to work? It turns out they did not. It turns out that we never heard from these people. They didn't want to file any lawsuits. They didn't want to back us up. They actually sent out official guidance was to tell us to go F off and to just get the shots. And then you find out that if you take a knee for Black Lives Matter and take an overtly political act on duty while wearing your placards that say who you work for, they will go to the mat for you. I'm going to read you the member connect email that was punched out, and I've got something on the screen, but it's not the entire email, so I'll read it to you right now. This is from the folks that pay in every month for it's like a legal advocacy group that does joint. I don't know. It's crowdsourcing potential legal problems that they pay for. By the way, they've hired things like Mark Zaid and some other left-wing lawyers to go and represent FBI agents who have lost their job under Patel. It says, dear members, we want to update you on a deeply concerning development impacting our colleagues. On Friday, FBI Director Kash Patel illegally fired. That's a real specific word. Illegally fired at least 15 agents. This came on the heels of last month's firing of another 5 agents. And as you know, agents have enough to worry about in their day-to-day work. Wondering whether they'll receive due process if or their work ever comes under question shouldn't be one of those worries. I read that verbatim. That's the way it was written. Nobody proofreads it. Classic government work. We at the FBIAA are working to address this issue as required by bureau policy, federal law, and the United States Constitution. Suddenly they remember that. FBI agents who face allegations of misconduct are entitled to due process. Broadly speaking, that means a full and fair investigation with the opportunity to respond and defend oneself where appropriate before any final decision is made. Let me just tell you that I also experienced a removal from my job, and there was, in fact, no due process. And we did not actually get to face any of our accusers or respond or defend ourselves. And they were totally okay with it. No big deal. Now, it goes on to cry about these agents being dismissed. As I understand it, it was actually done through what's called the Office of Professional Responsibility. There was an internal investigation that was carried out, and they did actually do the thing they're supposed to do. So, allow us to just dispense with that nonsense. But that's not the bigger problem here. The bigger problem is some of you have wondered, why is it that the suspendables who were coaching and giving information to the current FBI director, who were helping the understanding of guys like Dan Bongino, who are now the deputy director. Why is it that those guys immediately threw Kyle Seraphin and Garrett O'Boyle and Steve Friend, voices that went out very loudly and protested against FBI abuses when it wasn't very safe or cool to do it? Why are those guys not part of the brain trust that helps this agency correct course? Do you want to know what's really going on inside? Because this is actually worth knowing. The FBI Agents Association, the Society for Ex-FBI Agents, 2 different groups, they immediately got the ear of the current FBI director. They rolled in and they said, we're going to offer you the same thing that they must offer every FBI director. We're going to give you sort of like the backing of the rank and file. We're going to give you the official imprimatur of the FBI Agents Association. We want to work with you. because our only existence is if we can suck up enough to the director, then we can have access. Access is the name of the game. It doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right.